I am here with Doc, and Doc is our longtime vet. We've been in Tennessee for 10 years now, and Doc just embraced us when we came from Northern California with all these horses, and he probably thought I was crazy, but here we are 10 years later, and we've had some very fun times and interesting times and all kinds of times. But our fans watching the episodes with you, like they fell in love with you, like everybody else that meets you is just you know, you're just an amazing person, and just delighted that you're here to do a podcast, because I know everyone's going to love catching back up with what you've been up to, and yeah, so here you are on the podcast.
Well, I am honored that you asked me back. I did not mean to lose so much contact with y'all, but I sold my big clinic, and I have a small clinic in Linden, Tennessee, and we are extremely busy down there. And then I'm doing other stuff that I'm not sure I had time to. I don't know how I got it done when I work full time all the time. I feel like one of the most blessed people in the universe, in that I graduated in 1981 from the University of Tennessee. My degree is older than most of the people well, it's older than everybody I work with, I think, except one person, and almost everywhere I go, but I still love it. My idea of heaven would be doing this forever and doing a better job every year. Love the University of Tennessee, and because they gave a little country boy a chance to do what he wanted, and I try to pay them back.
So what inspired you to become a veterinarian?
One of my best friends in grade school always said we needed to be vets and work together like our hero, a guy named Dr. D.C. George in Columbia, Tennessee. And he could just do anything. And we thought about doing that, but he had to leave home when he was a teenager. He was in an abusive situation, and I sort of carried on with that. I get to the University of Tennessee, and they were starting a vet school. I met a lot of people that were getting in vet school, and I go, I don't know if I'm as smart as they are, but I know I can outwork them.
There you go.
And that's what it takes. Before the podcast, me and Tawnee were talking about how much it costs to be a veterinarian now. We're going to go over that in a minute, but I'm going to make a lot of people cry. My student debt when I got out of school was $20,000. I had a young male vet working for me, and I was standing around with 3 or 4 of my female assistants, and they have no idea what that means. At that point, I had interviewed 2 vets that owed $300,000. And if anybody wants me to, I can grab have an amortization schedule on my phone. 2 vets that owed $300,000. And I said, imagine one of y'all was started dating Dr. Ethan there, and then you, second or third date, it's time for everybody to have confession. Had you rather tell him he had 2 children with another woman or owed $300,000? I don't know what that is. I don't know what the payment is. I think it's $1,600 or $1,700 on $300,000. I said, but that stays with you forever. At least the child support goes away. He did not have any children, but I was trying to use that for an example, and they just looked wide-eyed and didn't say anything. But anyway, and I don't know of any that are $700,000. I do know when I was on an interview committee at UT that people were applying from all over the United States to UT because they could go. And let me clarify one thing. When you say UT, you're talking about the University of Tennessee, not the University of Texas. They're called, I don't know, something else. But
got to get Tennessee straight.
Yeah, let's get this straight. Anyway, it was cheaper. It was thousands of dollars cheaper to come to University of Tennessee and pay out-of-state tuition than it was to go to their in-state schools, Cornell and University of Pennsylvania, I think, or UPenn. So I don't know which one. But anyway, it's just...
Yeah, and then there's getting to be like a vet shortage across the United States, I've seen. But I've talked to people that are even like, there's a pastor shortage. There's all these people that were in the workforce that are now coming up to being like retired, and there's not people that are there to replace them as much. It's kind of scary when you think of things like even pilots and airlines and
plumbers and electricians, and I don't know what they're doing.
I think they're at home watching YouTubes.
Everybody's making
on the computers.
Everybody's making podcasts.
But like it's a different situation.
Different situation.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting when you think about the generation that is retiring and like who is there to fill the shoes.
I've got a new good mechanic now for my automobiles and stuff. My other mechanic retired. My plumber had a stroke. No, my plumber electrician had a stroke. It's a shame. And you said veterinarian storage. I think there's enough veterinarians.
Large animal shortage. So a lot of veterinarians that are coming out of school are being hired to do small animals because there's more money in small animal, and they're not finding large animal veterinarians. Because you come out and like, okay, I could go on 2 ranch calls today, or I could work in small animal and do all these surgeries. So like the money situation.
Some of them have never touched. I learned that there was a track where you could go through vet school now and just do companion animals. When we were in school, the education was different in that every week or 2 weeks you'd have a rotation with a surgery guy, soft tissue, orthopedics, radiology, internal medicine, and we stayed attached to the professors. Nowadays, there's a lot of people that go on externships where they go to a clinic and work. Like I've had some at my clinic, and I'm not too sure about letting them do surgery because I have to look the dog owner in the face and tell them if something went wrong.
Yeah, it's scary.
So I don't know how much experience they're getting before they get out of school.
I've been on veterinarian intern trips with like, they're going to do surgeries, they're going to do castrations and stuff. And some of them, it's the first time they are actually castrating a horse, and they're graduating in 2 weeks. And I'm like, ooh, okay. But they're just not getting the hands-on experience.
They're not getting the hands-on work.
And I know there's some training hospitals where they don't have any live animals for them to work on. They're all fake horses. Here's where you draw blood. None of the animals are real in this class. And I'm like, oh, you're going to get in the real world and they're moving.
Yeah.
They're stomping on your feet. They're spitting in your face.
They're trying to bite.
Yes.
And UT has a surgery lab where they're like that. And they're expensive. The fake animals are expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
As a vet here in little middle of the nowhere, Tennessee, through part of your career, you're going along, and all of a sudden this lady comes with elephants into your town, and then you ended up working at the elephant sanctuary, and then 10 years ago, here comes a horse rescue, and they all just congregate in Hohenwald. But what did you think when you heard about Horse Plus and what we were doing?
I'm not real smart sometimes, and I'm not smart enough to run away from things. So when people come in with novel things, I go, well, let's see where this goes. I think somebody asked me one time what it was I was scared of, and I said, I'm not sure. Oh, one of the elephants threw something tried to come over the fence at me, and I was sort of laughing about it at the clinic, and one of the vets that worked for me, well, what are you scared of? And I said, flying monkeys and making my wife mad. Those are the two things. After that, I don't know. I hate confrontation with people, but I think practicing with no fear has been a big plus because you're not scared to get out of the box if you have to.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you ever seen me
Yeah.
show much fear here?
No, you've been very brave. But I've heard about these monkeys, though. You've told me little bits and pieces of these horrific monkey stories
Oh,
over the years.
every now and then we'll have somebody come in with a monkey, and it's not often. We sort of don't want to do that anymore because they have things that humans can get.
And they're biting and they're...
And they bitey. We had one lady that had a monkey one time, and she said, I knew it was sick when it wouldn't get food out of that I'd chewed up out of my mouth and eat it. And I said, and I thought my staff was going to throw up when me being the smart aleck that I am. Said, I don't even like it when Connie does that. Anyway, she don't do that. Anyway.
So what's your most wildest monkey story?
I guess that was it. We kept on telling her we needed to get it spayed. We think it had a pyometra. I can't. Oh, no, not that's wildest. The wildest monkey story was I went on a farm call in Linden, Tennessee one time, and then I look up in the rearview mirror, and there's a car coming up behind me with its lights flashing, and he's flashing his lights, got his flashers on, and I pull up, and I pull over to the side, and this guy that's smaller than me comes up, and he's standing like a state trooper right behind where I'm having to look behind him. He said, how much would you charge to cut the fangs out of a monkey? And I'd heard about this monkey. And I said, about $100 a piece. And he started cussing. Said, that's too much money. And I looked around a little bit more, and this guy that would make Jason, make Jason look like a shrimp, was standing there with 2 rows of stitches like right here. And I said, what happened to him? And him and the monkey would get drunk and fight. And the monkey bit him and ripped his jaw off.
Oh.
And when I said that, he said, okay. And I never did have to take the monkey's teeth out. So
Phew. Monkeys can be dangerous.
They can be dangerous.
You don't recommend them as pets.
Not at all.
Let's keep them in the jungle where they belong.
Keep them in the jungle, yes. Let them be happy. We're happy here. They can be happy there. We'll go from there.
Just don't want to mingle with them. Wow. So there was also, it was one of the very first rescue missions that we went on. There was a squirrel, the infamous squirrel story. So the lady had a bunch of horses. They were starving and had to deal with them. And that was our primary focus when we got on the property. And then the wildlife was there, and they're like, oh, there's a squirrel and there's a raccoon, and they're in the house, and nobody could catch them, it seemed like. So then we got hauled off from the horses into the house to catch the squirrel, if I remember right. And the raccoon was like in a cage, I think.
It was in a cage.
Yeah.
So we get there, and I can't remember. There's 2 wildlife officers there. Did I emphasize two
of them.
wildlife officers there, and they were sitting there looking dumbfounded. So I just reach in and grab the squirrel and put it in a cage. And if you ever have to do it, make sure it is not a plastic cage for squirrels, because we caught the squirrel first, and we put it in my vehicle, an enclosed car, a little SUV, and then we went back for the raccoon. And once again, they were standing there doing nothing. And I whipped my belt off and lassoed the raccoon.
Oh, that's right.
Humanely.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I caught it right behind its front legs, picked it up, set it down in a cage, gave him my belt. And when we go to put him in my vehicle, the squirrel had chewed through the cage and was ripping out. I had another veterinarian with me, and
it was Dr. Lydia.
Dr. Lydia,
yes,
and Allie, which is my office manager in Linden now, and there's another young lady with us. I don't know who that was, but anyway, so everybody's looking dumbfounded. I crawl in there, and I'm not particularly fast, but I do have big hands. So I'm crawled in the SUV, and the squirrel's running from side to side. Did you see it?
Making loops in your.
He was making loops, and I go, he's going to mess up one time
lion.
and run into one of these big mitts. And he eventually did. I'm not sure what we did after that, though.
I think you got to put him in another cage. But from the outside, I just remember we were all sitting there watching you, jumping around like back and forth, and the squirrel just like, whoa.
I just outlasted him, and Tawnee can explain that. But one of the young ladies said that she was laughing so hard she might have beat a little bit. So at least I am of entertainment value to people. So
well, that rescue mission was really stressful because there was dead horses on the site, and it was really rough.
One of the worst. I don't know if you've seen many worse since then or not. You've probably seen.
Not here in Tennessee.
That was about as bad as it gets.
It was pretty bad, but that was some humor for us, and we all had a good laugh watching you trying to catch that squirrel inside there. And we're like, "What?" I
wasn't trying. I did catch it.
You did.
I did.
We're like, "What if he can't catch it?" We're like, we're not going to let him out of his Jeep. They're all stuck in there.
It was good.
It was definitely, it was a good moment for a really, really hard day.
Yeah, it was tough. Tawnee may want to state the mission. I don't know the full mission, but that was one reason it was so easy, and sometimes not physically easy, but that was what they're trying to do here. That is one reason it was so fulfilling to do the work here. That's why it was such a good mission on my part to help out, because it was sort of aligned with my values.
Yeah. So with Horse Plus, we try to rescue any animal regardless of its condition. And a lot of organizations only accept adoptable animals. And we accept everybody, which makes really interesting cases because we see things that, I don't know. I know some farriers that have come in are like, I've worked 15 years and I've never seen what I've seen in one day here at Horse Plus. And that's the same thing. Is they're like, wow, what we encounter here. But from a veterinarian side, it's interesting because you're always seeing new strange cases.
It is. It keeps you on your toes, and you usually feel like, not usually, you feel like you're doing good. Sometimes you have to make the hard decisions, but you can always end suffering.
Mm-hmm. That's the hard part. And I think it's a hard part for anyone that loves animals or like becomes a veterinarian or something, because you don't become a veterinarian thinking like, oh, I'm going to put down people's animals that are suffering, but it is part of ownership of an animal or caring for animals is being there at every step of that animal's situation, whether they're a puppy at your clinic or they're middle-aged or they're there at the end. And the end is the hard times part. To be. It's so important. I always think for owners to put especially a horse down on a good day and not wait until it's in the mud in the middle of the night. And you've had plenty of those cases.
You've had plenty of those cases, and I made those mistakes with a couple of my pets myself. But
it's so easy
nice
to do. Mm-hmm.
It's easy to do, but you want to do it when you want to do it the day before you have to.
Yes.
We'll do that then.
It's never an easy situation, but I know for a number of cases with, myself, like you've fallen in love with these animals and especially your own pets and stuff. But for these animals that come through, I would imagine a vet clinic the same way. We get attached to them, but we can't fall in love with them.
At the clinic, and I know y'all probably do here, but at a clinic, when we see a puppy, and I've been doing this for 40-something years now, so I've gone through several generations of the same family, and then watched the puppies work. One right now is a Basset that it's been my patient for 16 years.
Mm.
Fourth generation of humans I've seen with this, and we're getting to the end, and it's just sad. If they call in the middle of the night, I'll go.
Yeah.
But I hope they, just physically, I hope they make that decision sooner. But we sort of claim those pets as ours too. You know, that's our responsibility.
You become attached to them, and they're your patients. And for 16 years with one dog, you know, that's a long time. Yeah.
One of the things is the fond memories of Horse Plus. Oh, yeah. My favorite times was intake day. I guess, I don't know why. It's just like the
intake is always exciting.
It's always exciting. There's a lot of chaos, and I guess I think that's what I just talked to one person who said she needs to bring her dog to me, and she said, I'll call for an appointment. And I go, I hate appointments. Just bring it in. I love chaos. I like to see. That's what, that may be too organized up there now for me.
It's really organized.
I don't know if I could survive in an organized setting, you know.
Before we came down to do this podcast, we did a tour of Horse Plus and saw the new vet hospital area, and then went up to quarantine. And we used to be in that little tiny barn, and it was pretty chaotic in the middle of winter when the wind was blowing through. And
always had a nice breeze through there.
Freezing cold breeze.
Yeah.
I always thought I was going to become a stiff block of ice.
The only thing we got, but it was fun.
But some days, we went through 50-something horses in one day doing an intake through that. And now it's a little bit slower and a little bit more thorough because we've got 2 veterinarians, and one's doing the intake part and one's doing x-rays. But you should come out and see the organized sometime. Chaos that's happened here. But yeah, no, intakes are always a... you just never know what you're going to see, I guess.
That's what's surprising. That's what I liked about it. It was just
the element of surprise
and chaos, and you do the best you can.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so there's some of the things that once we got that digital X-ray machine, because we started doing a lot more X-rays, and the things we were finding. I remember one horse had gotten shot with buckshot.
Yeah.
That we found with the X-ray, and we're like, what on earth? Things we'd never know without that X-ray machine.
Having the right diagnostic equipment makes the whole world better. And this decision making is always, you can throw your best guess out, but until you know, it really helps.
It really helps to have infinitive, this is what's happening. But yeah, no, intakes are something else. And Jason's been doing a kind of almost live video. So he'll video it all, and then he uploads it on YouTube. So if you want to see what an intake is like in the new barn, that's a little more organized than it was, 8-10 years ago.
But it was fun.
It was fun, yeah. Out in the mud and the wind and the rain. And I remember one day you were here, and I think we gelded 20 donkeys, wild donkeys.
We did 22 mixture of donkeys, and that's still my personal record of 22 in one day.
22 in one day, and it was
minis
wild.
And donkeys.
Wild, because we didn't have any chute setup systems or anything. I remember we set up bales of hay to try to, big round bales of hay to try to maneuver around, and it was wild, but we got it done.
We got it done.
That was a wild day.
I remember we were sort of helping a guy out from Washington or Seattle, and he called me 2 days later, and I think one of them was swollen, and I'm going, we just got problems with one.
Yeah. We're doing good. We're doing good. But they all healed up, and they all did great and went off and found homes. But yeah, that was a wild day out here. I don't even think we might have had one little tiny barn out here or something at that point, and all these donkeys. We did them down here in the main part. Yeah, we did it in one of the pastures because we just kind of crawled them up, and they were laid out everywhere, knocked out, getting castrated, recovering, or waking up. And we were just full steam ahead that day. That was wild. Got a lot done that day. So funny stories that you've collected over the years. So
the last time we were together, Tawnee asked me about funny stories, and the funny thing is, I can't remember anything.
Uh-oh.
And then I just go blank, and I'm so sorry. I have to have a situation that triggers them. Anyway, me and Connie, with some of her family, have started going to a comedy show.
Oh, boy.
And one of the comedians, clean comedians, said, do you know where the term blue book came from, which means off color. And they have a white book. So there's a comedian in England that would tell a story, and he'd come out with 2 books. He said, which book do you want me to go from, the blue book or the white book? And he'd let the audience vote. Well, this is an orange book.
An orange book.
So we don't know what's in here, do we?
Oh boy.
So
orange is like your favorite color.
Well, it's my favorite color, but this is a Write in the Rain notebook.
Yeah, okay.
So, and I didn't, some of these may not be off color, but
oh boy,
they're different.
Brace yourselves.
Anyway, I try to learn something from my stories. I probably shouldn't tell this, and we'll skip this one because I can't think of a name. Hey, and most of the names we're going to say, they haven't been changed. I just don't remember them.
Okay, all right. So we don't remember the name.
We don't remember the name.
Okay.
And I sort of put titles to them. One of them is a horse's tale.
A horse's tale.
The moral to this story is you can do too much for somebody.
That's true.
I had this horse. He was a beautiful Morgan, one of the prettiest Morgans I had ever seen. And he would have occasional terrible bouts of colic over a couple of months. And one time I just couldn't bring him out. So I'd seen him, and I offered to the people to do a necropsy on him if he did it again. And he got down and died. And when I did, I found a huge hairball of this horse's hair in his tail where he'd been eating his tail. They'd run out of hay, wouldn't get him hay, and he'd have to get some kind of roughage.
He ate his tail.
So anyway, they said, well, if you don't mind, Doc, while you're after the necropsy, if you take off the tail, we'd like to keep it on the barn as a memento. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And I said, I tell you what, I'll take the tail off and take you back to the clinic and strip it out for you. Well, I did. And I hung it over the 2nd-story guardrail of the clinic to dry. The next morning I come in, I go, well, I better get that tail out. And it's gone.
Oh, no.
The tail's gone.
Oh, no. Oh, that's not good.
So I remembered one of the neighborhood dogs, and we weren't really in the neighborhood, was around. And I went looking for that dog, and I found it 2.5, 3 blocks away in that dog's yard.
No.
And I go, I'm never offering to do something nice like that again. You can offer to do too much, and then they'll still get mad at you. But I found the tail.
Oh, I'm glad you found it. You probably cleaned it up.
And I cleaned it up. He hadn't chewed up too much of it. There were no bite marks on it. So, and I don't know if the dog ever came back.
Bad.
One of the reasons we put a fence around the clinic nowadays to keep dogs out.
Keep that out. Oh. Your story reminds me of one. I don't know if I should share it, but so worked at this vet clinic, and somebody brought their cat in, and it was to be humanely euthanized, and they wanted the body back, but they left, and they were going to come back for it, and it was put into a box, and it was sitting on the counter, and then somebody came in and moved it, which we didn't realize, and they put it. Well, we were searching everywhere because they're in the lobby and they're waiting for their cat. And it's gone. And we are all in the back just panically looking for this box that had the cat in it. And then they sent me up there to tell them, hey, it's just going to be a little bit longer. I'm like, ah. And somebody had taken it and put it on top of the fridge, just out of the way. And they didn't know that it was the cat that was supposed to go back to its owner. I'm like, what if we couldn't have found it? Like, like these things that happen at vet clinics are just like, like,
you try to do your best, and I do cremations for them, and there's another clinic or two, and they do pretty fancy cremations. They send them off, but I tell them there's one thing, and I take it's a sacred duty to me. I go, they may do fancier cremations, but I never lose custody of the remains.
Yes.
Which reminds me of another crazy story.
Okay.
So used to have put it in a box.
Mm-hmm.
So we used to, when animals would die, the guy that was working for me at the time said, why do you take the address off of a box before we had an appropriate size, just before they had those Eutha bags and stuff? We put them in a plastic bag, put them in a box till the owner could come pick them up. We had a dog die. He said, why do you do that? And I said, if it's some child's pet or somebody's pet, the last thing I want them to see is a box with my address on it going into the grave as I buried it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not kidding. Less than a week later, on a Friday, we had this lady come in with a puppy that was flat out from parvo.
Oh, yeah.
Flat out. And I've done a good bit of work for Tawnee and Jason, and they know that never, it's rarely do I ever say the best thing we could do here is euthanize it. I try to fight to the end. But I said, we probably need to euthanize this puppy. And the lady said, no, I want to try everything I can to save it. And I go, okay, we'll do it. So we did everything we could. I come in Saturday morning, the puppy is deceased. I call her and said, puppy's gone. We're sorry. What do you want? Do you want us to take care of the body or do you want to take care of the body? And she said, well, my husband's going to come get it and bury it on his father's farm. And I said, okay. So I left a note for my staff to take care of the body and wrap it up. Just one. I thought it was taken care of. I went to my clinic in Linden, come back. I think everything's good. I get to the office Monday early, and the phone's ringing. I got there about 7:30. I'm trying to say it like he did. And the phone said, this is Chief Investigator for Hickman County, John Smith, and we would like for you to know that we found a box with a deceased animal in it with your name on it.
Oh.
And I said, you know I didn't do that. And he said, yeah, we know you didn't do it, but we're also pretty sure you know who did it.
Oh.
And I rolled on them. I hate to say it, I rolled on them so fast that it was pitiful. But the guy that worked for me still didn't
take the
label off. He said it's an illegal dump, and they gave me the stuff like that. So just
it's so rough, the things that happen out there.
You try what you try to do the best you can.
Yeah, no, but that was an interesting phone call to take.
That was fun. The guy was pretty good. He said the fine for that is six months in jail and $300. And I go, hey, I didn't do that. Anyway, I did roll on them.
Well, a lot of people dump trash around here. I mean, it's gotten better.
It's sad.
It's gotten better, but their address is usually in the trash bag.
It's not. And we've got free trash here. All you got to do is get it to the dump.
Yeah. It's a sad existence out there sometimes, but you got more stories in that.
I got more. I may just do one more. I got to save some of them. So I had this couple call in. They started calling at about 8 o'clock. And they were about the same age I was. They were about 40 at the time. And they said their dog had been trying to have puppies all night. And I said, we need to get in. We got to find out what's going on. And I hadn't seen them in a while. I knew them pretty good. They were about the same age I was, about 40. And they didn't come in. They called again about 11 o'clock before lunch. And I said, well, you need to get in if you can. And they said, well, didn't say anything. Then they called back after lunch, about 1 o'clock, 1:30. And I said, listen, if you don't get the puppy in, if you come in and I have to hold my crew here after 5 to do a C-section or you call me back in, I said, we're going to get expensive. And they said, how come? And I said, because I got to pay them extra. And we're here. We've known about this problem all day. So anyway, I thought something was up when they came in and their niece had to drive them in. But I didn't worry about it. And the lady was wandering around going, well, I don't know why she's having to have a C-section. I said, you'd be the second one to know because you're going to help. We passed the puppies off and sometimes I'd let the owners help. So anyway, we get in there, open her up. And there's scars where the puppy had had C-sections before, and they didn't spare. And I said, well, here it is right here. She's had a C-section before. And the woman said, found out why she wasn't driving. She said, I'd hate to go get that woman I got this dog from. I'd hate to go back to jail for kicking her butt. And I'm going, oh, key phrase there is back to jail. And she had lost her license. So anyway, all the puppies made it. Dog did good.
Sure.
That's back to jail.
So did you spay her? Did you?
We spayed her.
Yeah,
we didn't go through. That solved that problem. The puppies did fine. Dogs do good if you spay them. When you right if you do it. I think some people are scared to do that, though.
Yeah, no. Some people are scared to spay or neuter a dog or cat. But I am just so thankful you were out there spaying and neutering. And we just gave you the Pioneer for Spaying and Neutering Award for Lewis County, because if you weren't out like spaying and neutering all these dogs, like I cannot imagine what this county would be like.
Well, there's a lot of good people that take care of their problems, but then there's a lot that go. They just don't.
Yeah.
They just don't.
Just puppies left and right.
We lost one this week that should have been, she was amazing. She got to be 11 or 12, and she had a pyometra. If you don't spay older females, they get a pyometra. Last week, I had to neuter a 9 or 10-year-old dog that had an enlarged prostate. Old dogs and old men get enlarged prostates, and females get uterine infections, or vaginal, uterine infections that you can't fix.
So spay and neuter your pet.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know I've asked you about dad jokes, but I have a joke for you to see if you can get it. You can probably get it just fine. Okay. But what do you call a cow that has just had a calf?
I don't know.
A decaffeinated cow.
Decaffeinated.
It's been decaffeinated. All right. Well, I hope you have all enjoyed this podcast with Doc and hearing some of these fun stories. And do subscribe to our channel so you can hear more interesting stories in the future with other interesting individuals that we come across.
Thank you. Hope everybody had fun. I did.